but if it is, since we are
And we're,
coming from this company,
I think,
but that's what I want to understand. If
charging
an ad-
for that.
if a company uses your advertising, does their location sharing get to you? And here's why. Let me just cut because I don't have a lot of time. The Times talks about isn't tied to someone's name or phone number. Your personal information seems to be name, email address, and billing information.
I'm drawing
The
houses.
question a lot of us have, Mr. Katran, I think you can sense, is that while that may be personal information and you treat that the way we would expect, that there is a lot of information about where we go and where the raw data, including employees or clients, to identify a person without their consent by following someone they knew, pinpointing a phone that regularly spent time at that person's home address. Can you use the locations that people go to identify, to back into who a person is? You wouldn't do it, but could someone else do the same thing?
We wouldn't do that without explicit user consent. To answer your question, I'm happy to follow up. I want to make sure I address it. It's a specific question. I think at a high level, I would say location is turning out to be an important area. As we consider privacy legislation, I think it's important we give location protection for our users. As a company, we want to lead the way, and we are taking it.
I understand, and I have to go back. Just one last question, Mr. Chairman.
The time of the gentleman has expired. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Marino.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for being here, all of you. Let me start out by saying that, sir, you and the officer of your company, I think particularly you, because you are at the helm, have a tremendous responsibility. Responsibility towards your employees, responsible stockholders to your company, signing jobs. I think you also have a much more awesome responsibility to the American people. Make sure that you educate accurately, to make sure that you stay in the middle of the road, because I've learned this over the years as a prosecutor and more so as a member of Congress. There is a lot of people who believe everything that's put out by anyone. We're a 10-second society now, and we can't hold conversations. We can only read 10 or 12 words, and that's supposedly the gospel. You have a responsibility to see that the truth is out there, and I hold you to doing that. I don't believe in government taking control or defining, as my friend the judge says, what is right and what is wrong. I, for one, the less federal government in my life, the better. So I am depending on you and companies like.
How many Russians work for Google?
Help us along the lines, because if the federal government does ever step in to regulate, you're not going to like it.
How many Google employees hold Russian citizenship?
I have a concern concerning China. In 2010, Google left the Chinese marketplace due to concerns over hacking attacks, censorship, and how the Chinese government was possibly gaining access to data. I'm interested in what has changed since 2010 and how working with the Chinese government to censor research results are part of Google's core values. You understand my question?
Congressman, right now there are no plans for us to launch a search product in China. We are, in general, always looking to see how best it's part of our core mission and our principles to try hard to provide users with information. Always have evidence based on every country we have operated in. Us reaching out and giving users more information has a very positive impact, and we feel that calling. But right now there are no plans to launch in China. To the extent that I will be fully transparent, including with policymakers here, and engage and consult widely.
I then understand that you have no plans to enter into any agreements with China concerning Google, how it's used in China.
We currently do not have a search product And so,
Do you plan on having a search product there?
right now there are no plans to launch a search product in China.
Hey, let me ask it this way. If in the future you decide to do that, what information would you share with the Chinese concerning other users, other countries?
Why are you
Anytime we
only
look to
worried
operate
about
in the
China?
country, I mean, we would, we
Don't
would
give a,
conditions
nobody
are
gives a fuck
operate.
about Russia.
We have debated the conditions
Only what
to
you're told.
operate, and we explore a wide range of possibilities. Currently, it is an
Just
effort
trolls.
only internally for us. We
People
are not doing
behind the
this in China.
trolls, there's
So,
people enabling the
but
trolls.
I'm happy to
Where'd the
consult
fucking
back
trolls
and
come
be
from? How
transparent
do the
if there
trolls
should be
get
plans
away
to
with the
do that.
shit?
I'm sure you are aware that right now there are thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people that
Assuming
the
there's nothing
Chinese
but the
government has
trolls.
on computers trying to hack in the U.S. and any other countries. Same thing taking place, to a lesser degree, in Russia, simply because of the population.
Really?
What can Google do?
Same thing because I'm making a
Help curtail
racist
that, if not
generalization.
eliminate countries from hacking into other countries.
There's less hackers in
As a
Russia
company, we have faced,
because there's more people in
significant,
China.
attacks before.
That's his rationale.
Protecting the security of our users is what really keeps me up at night, and it's something we invest a lot over the years. We work with law enforcement because we rely on their intelligence.
As if we had
to
accurate
assess
population
threats, but
numbers
it's
to
a
begin with.
comprehensive effort, and it's something we take seriously.
Thank you. I yield back, but remember the responsibility that I think you have.
Chair recognizes the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Bass, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for coming today. I wanted to follow up on some questions that were asked of you earlier, specifically the use of bots by authoritarian regimes and also the use of troll farms by Russia. And wanted to know if you could be more specific in terms of how Google is going to respond. In other words,
Come on, really? So they're gonna fuck it up every single time they talk about that shit, huh? Okay.
one day, 125.
That's some bullshit right there.
dislikes, and next day there were 84,000. How do you respond in a situation like that where it's obviously it's done purposely?
So when we see view count manipulation of likes, dislikes, and either we get reports or we spikes in those activities, which make it clear that it's not humans doing it. We detect it, we treat it as spam or abuse of our system.
So you have staff dedicated to looking at that?
Yeah, both we have our algorithms, AI systems, and manual reviewers, and we are staffing up our manual reviewers significantly over the past couple of years. And so we do it comprehensively across all those things.
So anticipating what took place in 2016 happening again, and this is specifically regarding what Russia did to foment racial tensions in the United States, and wanting to know how you are responding to that, or fake protests, either to turn out to participate, or to have white supremacists be ginned up to attack communities of color. So specifically, what is Google doing to respond to that?
With respect to Russia, did improper activity ad platforms. But in general, we are not a social networking company across the products we do. It's an area we haven't done well as a company. So we typically are in connecting groups of people, and that's not how Google mainly works today. And so we haven't seen that kind of activities on our platforms. But we are vigilant and and happy to share any findings which come through as we look into it more.
A couple of questions about online creators of color, where mainstream media outlets often fail to cater to communities of color with relatable content or resolve lingering issues of underrepresentation representation or misrepresentation. Communities of color have sought out digital mediums to tell their stories, and in some cases, this has been very successful. It's led to larger networks recognizing the talent, and in other cases, it's given a platform to voices that would otherwise be silenced. So I wanted to know what policies Google might be developing to put in place to ensure that the voice of online creators can expand.
Thanks. I appreciate you being here. I wanted to follow up on something that the chairman started our hearing with, and that was a question about information collected by Google. I think the report that you referred to talked about information collected specifically on Android phones, even if those phones aren't on Wi-Fi or the cell service isn't on. Is that something?
Oh. It was back. I didn't realize it was back.
On this one, it's not clear to me how something when there is no connectivity would happen, but so we haven't.
I'm sorry.
I'm aware of those concerns. We haven't been able to substantiate those specific findings.
You're looking into this finding, so.
This is an area where we are, our goal is to, we're trying to help users with the information they want. Today, in many cases, users give us feedback. Part of what we're trying to do is they want
Shrimp
us to be
mold.
location aware.
I understand, but you're not aware of data being collected while the phone is not connected to either cell service or Wi-Fi.
Yeah, there may be specific instances. For example, GPS may be working, and so
Took it home from the Christmas party.
In general, no.
And so finally, the question is, if that information is, if that's possible, if you learn that it is happening, I would love you to share that with us. And the information
I would wish.
customer turns
I
on
took
his-
home all
his
kinds of
personal
shit.
service, if that information is then sent back to your company on their data plan, a lot of people obviously have limited data plans. When you look at this, you can also look at whether when the information is sent back to the extent it's happening.
Hey, my old
that it
viewers are
might
probably just
also
happy to see me
go
eat shit.
over their limits, thereby costing them more on their monthly bill. That would be helpful information.
Something I'm trying to get into more lately.
We will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Collins, for 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
I think it's
Boom,
common
boom,
for all federal
boom.
agencies. This is saying that I've lived about most of my adult life, and I think most of the perception is reality. And you can disagree with the perception, you can disagree with the reality, but at a certain point in time, as you've even heard from many of the folks discussing on both sides of the aisle today, there's
He
no
rehearsed this in the mirror this
what's being
morning.
stored, what's not being stored, and how that is, or how that data and that privacy issue, and also the effects or the outcomes of the searches are made. Now, one of the other issues, not just
Use
Google
your
itself,
words.
but also YouTube, there's another issue that I will not touch today, but probably will do some focus, and the issue of how that is stolen in many cases and how that could be worked on. Those are issues we'll deal with in others.
Look at
You do have access to this.
Bitch.
as a company, we have access.
And so you could, saying you don't, or don't. I'm not asking do you or don't. I'm saying you could, though, there is a possibility.
We have established policies on how we would do the data.
And their privacy policies, speaking of that, has changed 28 times, including 8 times, which Google would refuse to collect that is not already prohibited by laws like COPA or HIPAA.
There are many categories of information today. We are particular about anything to do with health data.
Those are covered under those. Anything that you would not collect outside of the two that I named, which are generally accepted, is things you cannot collect.
We don't collect, for example, we don't collect, you could have a product like Google Home, we won't collect conversations unless you specifically ask us to, so you ask a question. And so we definitely are very careful and minimize the data we need to provide the service back to our users.
I'm glad you mentioned data minimization. We'll get to that. Just to keep the data that you have captured.
Today we give you the choice of whether you want to store the data or not, but if you store the data, from the time you turn it on, we store it for you.
Question for all this has been discussed, aid, identifiers, search histories, all these things.
And for the, how many would you say, let me just, you mentioned it, made an interesting question. How many people actually understand that they can actually cut this off?
We remind people, and every day 20 million people come and make changes in settings. We see robust
You
activity.
control 95% of searches, you control this in a very large way. I would say the vast majority, not the most sophisticated, not the ones in a certain age demographic, are not as familiar with this as, say, some who work in the industry or at least around them. Would that not be a fair statement?
If you could repeat that, Congressman, sorry.
I'll get back to it. Earlier was said that identifiers such as age, name, and address are treated differently. If that is true, how are you treating them differently? And is the same data collection process still done? How is it treated differently than maybe some of these others that we have spoke of that came, I think, from Mr. Bush's discussions, such as locators and things like that, where you went. The why, number one, does Google need all this information? We can answer that in the fact that 85 or 76% of your revenue.
Every time I
comes
look
from
over here,
advertising,
it's
so
fucking
we know you
disconnected.
manipulate the
Jesus
data in
Christ.
some ways. However, can you explain what you do to minimize this data, which is generally an accepted standard practice among those who collect data?
Our goal is, but we are providing, for example, if we are providing you a service like Gmail, which we have done for 15 years, that data, we need to store it for our users, so they expect us to. So we are trying hard to match users' expectations. We don't need, our data for advertising, as I said earlier, most of it comes from just the keywords you type, and so we need minimal data to do advertising. We give you options to turn ads personalization off. We store most of the data we do today to help give users the experience they need to do.
I'm gonna go back to where I started. Perception is reality. The amount of data being collected here, the how it is being used, how you monetize, the one ad, basically the flow of information that you have, and the monetization of that is a concern. I think the perception of how it is used and from what side of the aisle is something that this committee, I think, will take up and continue to process. But I think when most people deal with this, what I said earlier, I'm not sure that in the broad scope of things, simply clicking yes, especially in a society today in which some of these things, and especially that was talked about mobile, which we've not delved into even further, is going to open up a much larger situation, which is not just simply monetizing data, it's actually using information that can be then used by either law enforcement or others in legal proceedings that can then be used against them. They're not going to understand exactly what is going on. With that, my time has expired.
Sure, thanks, gentlemen. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Cicilline.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Pacheco.
Or used by a foreign power to
In
corral them into
2006,
predictable
Internet
demographic
Pioneer
groups.
Serve testified on behalf of Google that the open internet was designed so that no central gatekeeper could exert its control to discriminate against rivals, consumers, or other businesses. Since then, it's become increasingly clear that this.
Well, let me just say, they're right about Google's political preference being its own. Google could have its fucking political preference. I wouldn't have a problem with that. It could be far left, it could be far right. Fuck to that. But it's not that. It is an instrument of chaos that does the bidding of the Russian GRU. Tired of this bullshit.
But shopping as a category, they excluded Amazon as a potential entry.
Oh, I expected to have to reconnect again, but
Specifics matter.
looked over here.
We are providing users with the best information
I
they are looking
burpeed.
for, be it from another company and be it from a competitor.
Got milk?
That's what we are interested in doing.
Well, I strongly believe in structural antitrust enforcement. I also plan to work with the Federal Trade Commission to develop legislation to address this type of discriminatory conduct online. Will Google commit to working together with Congress on legislative proposals designed to ensure that online firms with significant market power are not able to harm the competitive process of discriminatory conduct?
We're happy to engage constructively on legislation in these areas.
Thank you. I'd like now to turn to the question of China. Mr. Pichai,
China.
The operating environment in China has deteriorated with respect to surveillance, censorship, and the like since Google first made the decision in 2010 to leave. In September, I sent you a letter along with 15 other colleagues raising serious concerns about reports that Google is planning to re-enter the Chinese market with an app-based search engine that would likely have to comply with strict censorship and surveillance requirements imposed by the Chinese government. Since then, a widespread chorus of opposition to such a move has emerged, including from lawmakers, leading human rights activists, and a group of Google's own employees. The environment has deteriorated.
Good for you guys.
Your launching an app in that environment would seem to be completely consistent with Google's recently launched AI principles, which say you will not design or deploy technologies whose, and I quote, purpose contravenes widely accepted principles of international law and human rights. It's hard for me to imagine you could operate in the current government framework and maintain a commitment to universal values of expression and personal privacy. So I want to ask very specifically, are any employees currently having product meetings on this Chinese project? And when, if not, when did those end?
We have undertaken an internal effort, but right now there are no plans to launch a search
So,
service.
no plans.
As I said earlier.
Are there any
Define
current
plans.
discussions with any member of the Chinese government on launching this app?
Memorandums of intent?
Currently, we are not in discussions around launching a search.
Declarations of intent?
Are there any current discussions with members of the Chinese government about this?
This effort currently is an internal effort, and I'm happy to consult as well as be transparent to the extent we take steps towards launching a product in China.
And who at Google is leading the Dragonfly effort?
It's our efforts around building search. It's undertaken by our search teams, but these are distributed efforts. It's a limited effort internally currently.
Will you, Mr. Pichai, rule out launching a tool
Limited
for
contacts
surveillance
with
and
Russia.
censorship in China while you are CEO of Google?
Congressman, I commit to engaging. One of the things which is important to us as a company, we have a stated mission of providing users with information. And so we think it's in our duty to explore possibilities to give users access to information. And, I have that commitment, but, as I said earlier on this, we'll be very thoughtful and we will engage widely as we make progress.
Well, I appreciate that, and let me be clear, this goes beyond Google and frankly beyond China. At a moment of rising authoritarianism around the world, when more leaders are using surveillance, censorship, and repression against their own people, we're in a moment that we must reassert American moral leadership. And I think it's important that because other countries will look at that relationship. And Mr. Chairman, with that, I'd ask unanimous consent to submit for the record the letter of 15 colleagues and I sent to Mr. Pichai, his response, and a letter from more than 50 human and civil rights organizations opposing the launch of a censored Google search engine for the Chinese market. And I would just note, Mr. Chairman, that in the submission of this for unanimous consent, the NGO letter reports that, and I quote, the Chinese government is actively promoting its model of pervasive digital censorship and surveillance around the world. Many governments look to China's example, and a major industry leader's acquiescence to such demands will likely cause many other regimes to follow China's lead, provoking a race to the bottom in standards. It would also undermine efforts by Google and other companies to resist government surveillance requests in order to protect users' privacy and security, emboldening state intelligence and security agencies to demand greater access to user data. So the implications, Mr. Pichai, as you understand, are well beyond China. And I'd ask that they be made a part of the record.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have you ever launched an investigation into whether political bias is impacting the consumer experience?
Congressman, we do, to the extent there are concerns, we look into them, and
So have you expressly launched an investigation into political bias of your employees?
On our employees, you said?
Yes.
To the extent, we always take any allegations around code of conduct across every issue seriously, and we look into them.
You said to me yesterday that as it relates to political bias, you haven't launched those investigations because there are so many redundancies and there is so much peer review that would not be possible. Is that still your testimony today?
Congressman, it's the way our processes work. If you need to make a change in our algorithms, there are several steps in the process, including launch committees and user testing and our rate guideline
But at
evaluation.
your company, your employees can get together and chat in groups, right? Google groups?
Yes, they can.
One of those groups is the Civil Rights Group, right?
We have many employee resource groups on which they can participate in conversations, yes.
Have you ever looked into the conversation into the Resist group?
Congressman, no.
Is that a surprise to you that there's a Resist group?
I'm not aware whether such a group exists or not.
If there was a Resist group, would that be the type of thing that you would want to look into?
And we have clear policies around how our products are built. And
No, if there's a resist, you know that the resist movement is a movement built to resist the agenda of President Trump. There's a resist group within your company where group one are getting together within that group to engage in discourse on company time with company infrastructure. Does that strike you as the type of thing you would want to investigate?
Congressman, not aware of any such group. None like that has been brought to my attention, and happy to follow up with
Mr. Gates needs to be educated on what the fuck a resistance group is. See, a resistance group is when your fucking country is invaded by a fucking foreign power because your fucking political party turns into a bunch of little traitors. It's about resisting the foreign puppet that was installed by dumbasses like you. Nothing to do with anybody who's president.
Why would someone need to hold their nose to do that work?
Congressman, today we have 90,000 employees, and they communicate in forums. As a company, we have allowed freedom of expression, and we don't stand
Right in your
condone
fucking
comments
gate
expressed these
heads.
things. We're very clear about our policies as to how we build our products, and we serve our publishers that way.
Well, if you haven't launched an investigation into any of your employees, because it would take a group of employees to engage in improper conduct, and if those groups of employees are engaging in discussion on your platform, and if one of those platform groups is resist, and if on that resist movement site or any other sites in your platform there's discussion of suppressing conservative speech, why would that not be something that you would launch an internal investigation in, publish the reports, sanction those employees that may or may not be engaged in improper conduct, so that we can all have greater comfort in the use?
Because then people could find out that it was all fake.
Checks and balances so that employees, and not just on this issue, across any issue,
It's called
we protect the sanctity of
Russians
systems,
covering
our
their
product
ass.
development process, and we would do that.
How can I have confidence that you're protecting the sanctity of your system when you don't even know that your employees are getting together on your own company's infrastructure to talk about political activity?
In general, we always assume our systems are designed. We assume there could be bad intent. So we've designed from first principles because, for security reasons, both externally and internally, at any given moment, we assume that somebody may be acting in bad faith. And that's how we have designed our systems with all the protections in place. We need to do that for our security of our systems, and it's a first principles approach.
So if your assumption is that people can act in bad faith, why then have you not launched an investigation into the communications that seem to indicate a desire to suppress conservative political movements and conservative voices?
What this is the response to Russia getting caught influencing online discussions. Their response is to say, now you're suppressing us Republicans. Oh, you mean the people that were working with you Republicans to commit acts of treason are now conveniently helping you play the victim? Shocking.
We have a set of tools, crisis response tools. During the travel ban, even
And of course, he's just a robot. He's just there to annoy everybody.
Because there was some confusion around the event. So there was some discussion around things like that too. And so
Well, I would strongly suggest that one of the crisis response tools that you use is in an investigation into the discourse of your employees on resisting the Trump presidency, resisting the Trump agenda, and then smothering some of the conservative outlets that seek to amplify that content. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from California, Ms. Swalwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Mr. Pichai. I represent the Congressional District
Fucking tool.
in the San Francisco Bay Area, where a number of my constituents work at Google, and was hoping we could dive into some concerns I hear from them, but also that I hear from constituents who just have concerns about privacy. Does the United States need a national privacy law?
Congressman, I'm of the view, given how important privacy
Swallow
is,
well.
that
Sorry.
we are better off with
You know you were thinking
more
it.
of a single overarching
Excuse me, would you
framework
mind
for
moving the
how we use
microphone in front of your mouth so we can hear you better? Thank you.
I mean, really, is he
I'm
a
of the opinion
congressman or an
that we are
alder
better
boy?
off
Look at the
with,
motherfucker. How
with,
old is he? 15?
More of an overarching, data protection framework, which for users, and I think that would be good to do.
All I can say is
You
this:
know, in
if
Europe,
his voice
just last
cracks,
year, they implemented the General Data Protection Regulation, known as GDPR, and the goals were for consumers to know, to understand, and consent. And would you agree that if there was a framework in the United States to have a national privacy law, that would be the critical framework to have: know, understand, and consent?
You know, we've had quite a bit of experience now working with GDPR, and we've done it for many, many months. And you know, I think there are, I think it's a well thought out, crafted piece of legislation. I do think there's some value for companies to have consistent global regulations. I think it's also important for users as they navigate services globally, and so I do see value in aligning where we can.
Mr. Pichai, as part of Russia's attack on our democracy in 2016, it used ads on your platform, on Facebook's platform, on Twitter's platform.
a lot more than ads.
Money was provided in rubles and from Russia addresses. What has Google done to make sure this doesn't happen again? And just last week, Secretary Mattis confirmed that Russia continued its attack on our democracy in the most recent midterm elections.
Congressman, as I said earlier, it's an area where we invest
What's
a
with the
lot.
fucking
We do
softballs?
see limited improper activity, and obviously we learned from that. We've been very transparent with our findings.
If they put half the guile into asking questions about Russia as they did with their fucking political bickering, we might actually be able to protect this country. Fucking.
So far, Google as a whole, through both our election cycles, but it's an area where it's never enough, and so you're constantly vigilant and doing more.
Mr. Pichai, I don't think anyone disagrees that seeing an answer on a results page for certain queries can be useful. For example, if I type in, what is 25 times 15, and Google spits out 375, that's useful. But today, if my wife was to search for a pediatrician in Dublin, California, instead of being matched with the most relevant information from across the web, according to Google's algorithms, my wife or any mom would see a map that is powered by Google's ecosystem of local reviews. And in response to claims that Google has put its own results ahead of its competitors, when its PageRank algorithm believes the competitors should be ranked higher, Google has told certain international enforcers that local search results come from a specialized index, which is distinct from its organic web index. And I was hoping today you could clarify for me, is it technically possible for Google to compare local business content it collects against that of content collected by third-party services using a PageRank-like quality score?
We employ a wide variety of signals. We are interested in providing users. We respond to user feedback. So as a user, you could be on your mobile phone with very limited connectivity. You could be a busy parent on your way, and you're checking for some information, maybe trying to find a doctor because your kid is sick. So we are looking to see how we can get that information to you as quickly as possible. That's the use case which drives our product development. And if that information is best available from another company, we make it available. There are times we are able to provide that information because we have better information. And so we are constantly looking, and we do that to the best of our ability.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Gentleman yields back. At this time, the chair recognizes the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Pichai, we want to thank you for appearing today and for taking the time to answer and meet with us individually and answer our questions. I think you and I both agree it's important for your company and for the people for us to have this public hearing and to get all this information on the record, so to speak. So, as we discussed in my office yesterday, my conservative colleagues and I are fierce advocates of limited government. And we're also committed guardians of free speech and the free marketplace of ideas. We do not want to impose burdensome government regulations on your industry. However, we do believe we have an affirmative duty to ensure that the engine that processes as much, as we've said today, 90% of all internet searches is never used to unfairly censor conservative viewpoints or suppress political views. Your challenge today, and in the days ahead, is to convince the members of this body that Google and your industry peers will implement your own sufficient safeguards and solutions to this problem so that the government doesn't have to intervene. Here's a question. In previous hearings and discussions, Google has described the Trusted Flagger program as a source for recommending content be removed from your platform. Recently, Google released a transparency report on content removal, which revealed that out of the 7.7 million automated flagging removals from your platform, YouTube, around 70% of that content was removed before it had received any views from the public. Here's the question: how does Google ensure that content removed in the automated process is not merely because of philosophical or political differences?
Congressman, it's an important question. As you said, YouTube is committed to being a platform for freedom of expression, and we go to great lengths to do that. We only handle videos in the areas of clearly defined policies we have. We do have automated systems, but we, as I said, we later spot check it to make sure the system is working as intended. We respond to feedback as content creators. You can appeal if you think something was removed erroneously. But it's really important to us that we provide a platform for freedom of expression, but enforce the rules of the road on areas where we have said, but we are very transparent about the areas and the clear policies with which we do those things.
You've spoken a lot today about objectivity. That's the goal. We applaud and appreciate that. As you know, Alphabet's Incubator Jigsaw has introduced Perspective. It's a tool that uses machine learning to filter online discussions for, quote, toxicity, unquote. This to me raises issues of how Google's parent company is using machine learning to filter speech that is viewed as unproductive, such as ad hominem attacks or offensive language or the like. When creating a tool like Perspective, what steps is Google taking to protect conservative viewpoints from being considered toxic by subjective reviewers as the program progresses?
Congressman, Perspective, provided by one of our sister organizations, Jigsaw, it's a platform for publishers to use. So the publishers get to define what they want acceptable or not. And
if this all wasn't just a bunch of staged bullshit to cover Russia's interference with the fucking election and your complicity with it, you might use another word besides conservative, like independent. Christian, maybe.
Or has their material flagged. How quick does that appeals process work? In other words, what's
Well, they got their story straight, don't they?
I think it varies. We prioritize areas which are sensitive. For example, areas like terrorism is something.
They all got the same fucking color Kool-Aid stain right on their upper lip.
But we are ramping up our resources, and our goal is to do it as soon as possible. But sometimes it can be a matter of hours. If it's areas around copyright, we have implemented Content ID. We have a system by which we can automatically detect and respond right away back to copyright owners. So it's a constant work in progress.
In the committee's last hearing with Google's Mrs. Juniper Downs, we discussed this. I raised the case of the Alliance Defending Freedom's content being removed after being reported by a trusted flagger on YouTube. Its reputation for being, I would say, a radical left organization that opposes conservative viewpoints. What criteria does Google use when granting trusted flagger status to third parties such as the SPLC?
Today we first want to clarify one thing. Our trusted flaggers don't remove content. They can flag content for us to review, and we review flag content. It's mostly used by law enforcement, many nonprofit agencies in important areas like child safety, terrorism, and so on. Southern Poverty Law Center is a trusted flagger. People can register. Last we checked, they've never flagged a single video on our platform. We have reached out to a wide variety of organizations, including conservative organizations. We would be happy to take your suggestions to add organizations as trusted flaggers.
Appreciate that. We need a little objectivity in the reviewers, and I'll yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired. The hearing now recognizes gentleman.
Yeah, like your question just got called a lie, but you're the ones who are going to be objective, huh? By being conservative. Because that word means something anymore.
The First Amendment protects private individuals and corporations' free speech rights. Now, there are things that Google does unrelated
Captain
to
Sulu.
speech that I disagree with. When it comes to search
Sorry.
algorithms, your prioritization, what videos you want to show, the First Amendment protects you. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Some of them are fairly basic.
That's Captain Sulu's great-great-grandfather.
Educate some of my
Captain
colleagues
Sulu
in how
hasn't been
Constitution
born
works,
yet,
and feel free to answer
obviously.
yes or no. So my first question is, we here on the Judiciary Committee are the government, and Google is a corporation, correct? Yes or no? Yes. All right. The First Amendment limits what government can do in regulating the content of speech. It does not limit Google. But Google does have to follow corporate laws and other laws.
Google.
And under those laws, you and your board of directors have a fiduciary duty to your shareholders, correct?
He said douche and duty.
Yes. And one of the ways that Google generates a profit is when consumers use your search engine, they watch videos.
Oh, wait, this
they click
sounds
on
serious.
ads,
I'm
they
sorry.
Use your applications. Isn't that one way you generate profit?
Duty
It's
douche.
one of the business models
Sorry.
And if consumers were not getting the search results they wanted, or not getting the videos they wanted to see, they might start moving to your competitors. Isn't that right?
Every Monday when I run my management meetings, yes, we worry about, users have a lot of choices, so we work hard to earn their trust.
Do we?
And so let's say you figure out that the number
What
one
other-
thing users want to see are dog and cat videos. Under the U.S. Constitution, you have the absolute right to promote dog and cat videos. I'm not saying you do that, but you do have the right to do that if you wanted to. Isn't that correct?
Congressman, I'm not the expert on First Amendment, but generally I think that's right.
I thank you. So last week when I got notice we're going to have another one of these hearings, I did a search on Google.
I don't have the
I
right to
searched
promote
for
dog and
Congressman
cat
Steve
video.
Scalise. He was a Republican. I hit the news tab, and the first 4 articles that come up were generally pretty positive. The first one is from Town Hall, a generally conservative publication, about his book, Back in the Game. Second article is also about his book, Back in the Game. Third is about him talking about election results. Fourth is from Fox, another positive article about his book, Back in the Game. You don't have a group of people at Google, they're sitting there thinking, hey, we like Steve Scalise, so we're going to generate positive articles on these search results. That's not what's happening, right?
I'm very glad to see Congressman Steve Scalise fully record and back, but we don't deal with individual queries and with any viewpoint, and so these
In fact,
things all around.
nowhere in your programming code does Congressman Steve Scalise even show up. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's right.
Now I'm going to do a real-time Google search for a very similar term. I'm going to change one word. So I'm going to search for Congressman Steve King. I'm going to hit the news tab. First article that pops up is from ABC News. It says, Steve King's racist immigration talk prompts calls for congressional censure. That's a negative article. But you don't have a group of people at Google sitting there thinking and trying to modify search results. Every time Steve King comes up, a negative article appears. That's not what's happening, right?
We always operate for any query with the same set of principles. We are trying to reflect what is currently, if it is newsworthy, what is currently being discussed about that phrase.
Thank you. So let me just conclude here by stating the obvious. If you want positive search results, do positive things. If you don't want negative search results, don't do negative things. To some of my colleagues across the aisle, if you're getting bad press articles and bad search results, don't blame Google or Facebook or Twitter. Consider blaming yourself. I yield back.
Y'all's time has expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Biggs.
Blame Canada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Blame
Thanks for being here,
Canada.
Mr. Chairman.
I don't disagree with one point made by the last interrogator.
Then agree.
Let's call him questioner, that's easier to say. In the sense that I think you have a First Amendment right to do what you guys want to do. So you're a private company.
Yeah.
There's very few constraints on the First Amendment, although there are lots of constraints ultimately when we start looking at it. Everything from libel to slander to threatening, intimidating to yelling fire in a crowded theater. We have constraints on First Amendment speech. But you've seen, as we've gone through here today, to say that Google doesn't have bias. You yourself have said you personally don't have bias or animus. And you also tried to implement policies to prevent bias and animus as well. Isn't that true?
We work hard to build our products in a neutral way, and I'm committed to doing it that way.
Right, and in some respects,
Close enough.
We haven't heard much discussion about the human intersection.
And
with
close enough to an
the
anus is
creation
usually a happy
or
place. Wait, what?
manipulation or editing of algorithms, but there is human interaction with the humans create the algorithm.
Or a tainted place.
And you might have some artificial intelligence that might deduce some additional information as it goes, but originally the creativity comes from the humans, right?
That's right.
Well, how can we be assured that foreign adversaries will not use your platform against Americans or American national interests?
we
Softball
always worry
pitch.
about, that as a threat vector.
Please make us all feel
So
better
we
about
make
this.
sure, the best way we do it when we are building our products, we don't rely on,
Can you imagine the fucking Nuremberg trials? So, Hans von Goebbels-Steinhausen. How can be reassured that you won't kill any more Jews? Oh yeah, that's right. I already know. They can be reassured because I'm racist against Russians. So they've taken care of the racists by taking care of my racism against Russians for complaining about Russia, invading shit and attacking my country.
there may be attempts to use our products and services. So, for example, as we provide advertising products, somebody, and what we saw in the 2016 election was, limited activity, but it's improper. 2 accounts related to Russia, advertised using our platforms.
That totals $4,700, I think you said.
Yeah, so that's an example of, the kind of threat we see, and it's something we're working hard to mitigate and avoid.
$4,700. Oh yeah.
I guess I would say that it looks like you guys have a policy of do no evil, right? Is that fair to say?
It's not an official policy, but it's a statement which has been communicated by us internally.
And other people have brought up the work that
Not
you may or
anymore.
may not be doing in China, and I want a clarification of that. Are you looking to expand in China and cooperate with the Chinese government on a platform release in China?
So the question is about search. Right now, we have no plans to launch search in China. We have always, over the years, explored how best we can continue to serve users in China, but that's what we're doing.
Are you doing anything with the data share with the Chinese government?
Today, we don't operate our services which involve user data like Google Search or Gmail in China, and so no.
So you're telling me nothing at all then in China?
We do provide,
Alright.
For example, Android, which is
The Murphy's is here,
operating
so
system we
hold
work
on
with
one
partners
second,
around
y'all.
the
I'm gonna
world,
mute the
and
phone.
there are OEM manufacturers.
Murphy's is here.
Compliance there.
The last question I have real quickly. In May 2016, Google banned all ads by payday lenders, even though it invested in LendUp, which is effectively a payday lender. And it banned ads by competitors. Is that a normal practice?
Like a mobster donating to a church while he's going to trial.
Hey, Emily.
We undertook ad policies in that particular area because we saw evidence of misuse, and we had gotten a lot of feedback, and that's what we reacted to.
Did you ban your own LendUp app?
I don't think Google is involved. I think one of our sister companies is has an investment in
LendUp.
I think that's my understanding.
Was it banned?
Gentleman's time has
I can follow up. I'm not aware of the specifics. I'm happy to follow up.
Thank you. Gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskins, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome and thank you for your testimony today. Do you know what
Something feels wrong about being at my desk on my birthday.
Specifics about I heard some references over the past 24 hours.
I just learned out in the Washington Post this morning this article with this headline, "A platform for free speech that extremists routinely exploit." And in it, the article explains that the recommendation engine for YouTube, which is owned by Google, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. The recommendation engine for YouTube recently suggested videos claiming that politicians, celebrities, and other elite figures were sexually abusing or consuming the remains of children, often in satanic rituals, according to watchdog group Algo Transparency. The claims echo and often cite the discredited Pizzagate conspiracy, which which 2 years ago led to a man firing shots into a Northwest Washington, D.C.
And don't forget the child porn.
He believed were being held as sex slaves by Democratic Party leaders. One recent variation on the theory, which began spreading on YouTube this spring, claimed that Democrat Hillary Clinton and her longtime aide Huma Abedin had sexually assaulted a girl and drank her blood, a conspiracy theory its proponents dubbed Frazzle Drip. Now, the article goes on to describe how this Frazzle Drip conspiracy is all over YouTube, and some of the Frazzle Drip clips purport to show grainy images of Clinton and Abedin committing crimes and speak of invoking the death penalty. One video, which has been viewed 77,000 times and remains online today, has a voiceover that says, "Will these children become the dessert at the conclusion of the meal?" So, and this is just one example that they use of extreme right and paranoid conspiracy groups using YouTube as a place to trade their videos and to promote propaganda. What is your company policy on that, and are you trying to deal with it?
You know, we are constantly undertaking effort to deal with misinformation, but you know, we have clearly stated policy, and we have many of the areas where we are looking to do more. You know, this was a recent thing, but I'm committed to following up on it, and we are evaluating these against our policies. But it's an area we acknowledge there's more work to be done, and we continue doing that.
One of the videos discussed images of a body on a table before restrained children, and of Hillary Clinton with a bloodied mouth and fangs, claiming that she and Abedin drank the blood of their victim. That was removed, but then another consisting of an exact copy of the video.
But don't you know, all Democrats drink baby blood. It's delicious.
So, I mean, is your basic position that this is something you want to try to do something about, but basically there's just an avalanche of such material and there's really nothing that can be done, and it should be buyer beware or consumer
Oh, it's
beware
not hard.
on YouTube?
You know, we do grapple with difficult issues. Maybe we have to look at it on a video by video basis, and we have clearly stated policies. So we
I can tell your boys how to fix it.
Policies, and we do strive to do it for the volume of content we do get, and you know, around 400 hours of video every minute. But it's our responsibility, I think, to make sure you know, YouTube is a platform for freedom of expression, but it's responsible and contributes positively to society.
Some of my colleagues are upset about negative references to Donald Hillary Clinton or not Barack Obama, and obviously, you know, one potential strategy today is to try to heckle you into somehow playing favorites with Donald Trump and Republicans. I think that would be a silly and ridiculous takeaway from this. On the other hand, there is material which is a true public danger. You know, you've got a right to have whatever politics you have. I mean, we could subpoena Fox News and bring them in here and beat them up about how 90% of the references on Fox News to Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton are negative, but they've got that right under the First Amendment. You've got a right under the First Amendment to have whatever political views you've got. But I think the point at which it becomes a matter of serious public interest is when your communications vehicle is being used to promote propaganda that leads to violent events, like the guy showing up with...
Holy shit, 8 viewers.
And so I guess my question is, are you taking that...
Is the sky falling?
Right.
It's been a year since we had 8 viewers at once. Fuck.
Against hate speech, things which could incite harm or hatred or violence, and you know, that's an area where we are clearly taking a lot.
It's been before. It's been since. Exactly. It's been since before they canceled my live stream for no fucking reason.
Chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. Hatton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for being here, Mr. Pichai. For years, the Federal Trade Commission, on a bipartisan basis, has affirmed that precise geolocation information is considered highly sensitive, and that consumers must opt in to that. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that.
Do you think there's other information, privacy information of consumers that should also be required to have opt-in versus opt-out?
In general, I think a framework for privacy in which users have a sense of transparency, control, and choice, and have clear understanding of the trade-offs they need to make, I think is very good for consumers, and we would support that.
And speaking of privacy and transparency, I'm trying to understand the difference between a paying customer for the Google Suite versus the free Gmail. So when it comes to data collection, are the criteria and the rules the same if you're on Google Suite versus Gmail?
Google Suite is a broader suite of products than Gmail alone. We have very specific policies around Gmail in general. We provide G Suite across many instances. We have clear policies against that too. We don't use.
Right, but what I'm asking is, are the policies different?
We don't distinguish between. So, for example, today we provide G Suite for free to many educational institutions. We don't use that data from within G Suite for advertising.
You see the guy in the monocle in the background?
Well, we store.
Yes, it's the Monopoly man.
Monopoly guy.
Monopoly, Google, Monopoly, get it?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I just now noticed him
so
now.
that they can access it.
And no one in your
He's making
company
funny
has access
faces.
to it.
It's great.
People,
Or they do have access.
we have policies that they cannot access it unless they have specific consent from the user for a specific situation.
What would be one of those reasons?
For example, you may want to investigate fraudulent activity related to your account, and we may ask for your permission to do that. There may be a valid law enforcement requirement which we have to comply with.
All right. I'm going to go back to Google Takeout, which my colleague from Georgia asked about earlier.
Sorry.
She's digging the Monopoly guy.
The person probably has never heard of Google Takeout until recently.
This is a great
so
day.
when did it become available?
And we started this effort, I'm aware of it as early as over 10 years ago, and we started building for many of our products. We started an office in Chicago with the express goal of providing users.
Okay, I'll get one better in your head.
I think we were
As soon as I finish writing it.
starting to work on that as a company, but there's more effort we plan to do there.
Who has that?
For users, so for example, if you decide to stop your Gmail account and go with another email provider, being able to take your Gmail data with you, and that's what it's designed for. Takeout is for users, yeah.
But no one from within Google or any other place can come in to Google Takeout and get your information.
It's expressly designed for consumers to take their data with them.
I don't understand what it's designed for. I'm asking who practically can get access to it.
We have very strict limitations on access to
So it's more than just if I were going to Google Takeout for Karen Handel, I'm not the only person who has access to my Google Takeout.
No, you are the only person who can take out your data, but I'm just saying, you asked about internal systems. We have clear policies. Employees can't go looking at user data unless there are a narrow set of circumstances which may involve either consent from the user or legal situations, etc.
Right? Is it free?
Is Takeout.
Sometimes you make a wish because you're bored of English. So you just talk gibberish to fish. Talk some gibberish to fish. Talk some gibberish to your fish.
If you delete the data, it will take some time, and we communicate that to propagate through our systems and get removed, but we follow through on that.
But it's deleted. It's not just hidden. Okay, one last question. You said that your company embarked on an initiative.
Baby shark do 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 do. Baby shark do 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 do. Baby shark.
So for example, during registration window, we give people
I'm
information
tortured by
about
that.
registration.
The lights on in the car. You do realize that, right?
Honda bike do 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 do. Honda bike do 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 do. Honda truck do 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 do. Honda truck do 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 do.
But how did you do it? Did you send out links? Did you send out voter registration forms to people?
Generally, these time expire, but you can ask the question.
For example, on the Google homepage, we may say.
Oh, look, it's an actual chat conversation going. Who'd have thunk it?
We give you the location of your.
Not just me and Sean staring at each other.
I joined in for a second.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Earlier.
Oh, were you number 8? There were 8 for a
Thank you,
while.
Mr. Chairman,
I was
and
like,
thank
oh,
you,
hot
Mr.
shit. I
Kuchar,
haven't had
for
8
coming
since before we
to
got
testify
fucking.
before us.
No,
I,
it
for
was
one,
only
am
3 when I
thrilled
was
that
on
you as a
earlier.
company
I think I was
encourage
the
people to
third.
vote. I think we should all do that. I'd
Before
love
they
to see
canned the
Election Day
stream
as a holiday.
capability for no
I've
damn
been
reason.
deeply concerned for some time about employers mandating forced arbitration rather than allowing for people to pursue justice. And forcing people into arbitration when they've already experienced a violation of their basic rights, I think, is a deep injustice, and it subjects people who have already been victimized to further victimization. And we've seen research that shows that it discourages people from coming forward to report abuses to begin with. There are very successful companies in your field, including companies like Salesforce, that have thrived while foregoing forced arbitration contracts and clauses. And I think that we can all agree that the argument that eliminating forced arbitration threatens innovation should be dismissed out of hand. Eliminating forced arbitration has been a shared priority by my colleagues on this committee, as evidenced by the fact that our ranking member, Jerry Nadler, as well as Hank Johnson, David Cicilline, and I have all introduced legislation to end the practice. And I was very heartened to see that Google ended forced arbitration, but only in the context of sexual harassment. And so I hope you agree with me that upholding people's fundamental right to safety in the workplace and freedom from discrimination, whether it's based on gender or sexual orientation or race or any other metric, really benefits all of us. And so I wanted to point out that it's particularly critical for companies like Google to take that moral leadership in this space, since there are limitations for affected people to pursue system-wide change through tools like class action lawsuits. And I recognize that this is not exclusive to Google and that it extends to many, many other employers, but since you're here before the committee today, which has jurisdiction over this issue, I want to ask you if you will voluntarily commit to expanding the policy of ending forced arbitration for any violation of a person's rights, not just around sexual harassment, but really for all of
Every time she says forced arbitration, take a shot.
Congresswoman, thanks for the question. It's an important area. Today our arbitration agreements don't require any confidentiality provisions. That's how we've done it. But
Every time he calls forced arbitration, take another shot.
We agreed that it should be up to the employees, and we gave them a choice. We are definitely looking into this further. It's an area where I've gotten feedback personally from our employees, so we are definitely reviewing what we could do, and I'm looking forward to consulting and happy to think about more changes here.
Well, we'd love to work with you on that. I think that this really, for people who are listening to this hearing that may not understand this, basically when you sign a contract, as we saw with sexual harassment, some employees don't even know what they're signing away, but they're signing away their ability to actually pursue claims in the justice system by going to forced arbitration. And so I think that this is very, very important. I think your point about confidentiality is important, but that's not the issue here. That is about transparency, but it's not about the basic right of somebody to seek access to due process and to justice in the courts. So what stage are you at in advancing the issue of ending forced arbitration, both on the sexual harassment side, but also in terms of the process for looking at it more broadly? How do we have a timeline? How do we engage with you to make sure that
Did she just remix herself?
As we move forward in the next Congress?
How do we have a timeline?
The changes for forced arbitration.
Take a shot.
Giving arbitration as an
Or
option.
take a shot.
For employees for sexual harassment. We are definitely reviewing what more we could do in this area. I'm definitely happy
put
to
a-
have
put a card in his
office
hat.
follow up as they're thinking about it to get your thoughts on it, and we are
Take another shot every time he refers to it as this area.
Thank you. The
Take a
other,
shot every time the
issue I
Monopoly
wanted
Man
to
does
just
something
raise in my
different.
last minute
All I gotta
is
say, when you're
moderating
looking for a
people's
pronoun
speech.
for something to
This
do
has
with
come up
sexual
in a number
harassment,
of
you're trying to be
different
more
ways.
sensitive, you
We
probably shouldn't
appreciate
refer to it as
the work
this
that you've
area.
done, particularly with YouTube. I know we had Alex Jones in the room earlier.
That
but
thing
I
we were
think,
talking about.
promoting conspiracy theories that are patently false and result in real harm assessment.
Are you fucking
Social
serious?
media played a role, for example, in
Washington Post's live feed of C-SPAN's feed.
Cater to groups of people, which which I think we need to take a very strict line on.
Said C-SPAN earlier.
And, we've stated our policies clearly, and we are working hard to make our enforcement better. And we have gotten a lot better, but it's not enough, and so we're committed to doing more here.
Well, we really look forward to working with you on that. And before I yield back, Mr. Chairman, let me just take a point of personal privilege to say I was born in the same state as you in India, and I'm excited to see you leading a company and continuing to show that immigrants to this country contribute great value in spite of some of the rhetoric we hear. Thank you, Mr. Pichai. I yield back.
Gentlelady's time has expired. The now chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Rothfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pichai, thank you for being here. I appreciated the reference to Pittsburgh in your opening testimony. Good to have you in part of our community there. Your company really should be held out as a
Why does it sound like they're
success story
sucking
for
up to
America's
him?
free enterprise system.
Because a lot of them are, and
Google
then they're
has
going
very
to
powerful
question him
products
about
and services.
censoring
There's a
conservatives.
saying that goes with great power comes great responsibility. I
Those
think,
Ones that suck up to him,
I want to talk a little bit about
and he's going to smile back at them as he answers their questions about censoring conservatives.
engineers lamenting the 2016 election results.
Oh, see, here you go.
Then they discussed potentially manipulating search results that would favor some political viewpoints in the future. On a hypothetical level, those Google engineers believe that they had the power to influence an election. Those products and services are powerful enough that they can sway public opinion to tilt an election if the company wanted to. Are your products that powerful?
Congressman, today we see users get information from a wide variety of sources, and while Google is a big player in search is just one of the ways in which
He's an Indian
people
Jeff
get information.
Goldblum.
They get it from social networking sites.
Do you think that your products are that powerful?
That's not the way I think about it when we are building the products. You know, we constantly worry about the area
It's a
where
bullshit
we are not doing well and we're
question.
looking to do better. We definitely see a lot of innovation, not just from within the U.S. but globally around the world, and we do realize we are a large company, and with that comes scrutiny. And
Is there a
we think it's important to
mathematical
engage on that.
range per given demographic?
About Google and its algorithms working on a nonpartisan way, and that you're confident that Google does not approach work with any political bias. Zoe Lofgren highlighted the vote in Santa Clara County. Does Google do anything to ensure ideological diversity among its employees and decision makers?
Congressman, we've I've communicated clearly to the company that we need to welcome viewpoints from across all sides. As a company, you're right, we are definitely based in Northern California, and clearly there is a leaning there. But last year was the first year we grew faster outside of California than within California. We also have employees globally, and I do see a wide variety of opinions expressed.
When Mr. Johnson asked a question about the Trusted Flagger program, you said for us to review. Who's the us? Who's doing that review?
We review things both with a combination of our automated systems as well as manual reviewers. These are people who are part of.
And how many people is that? How many? Is it a committee? Is it?
Are they Americans?
We've committed to scale up our manual reviewers to over 10,000 people, and we are well underway to do that. And so this is thousands of people.
Who's watching the watchers?
24/7 globally across, looking at content based on our policies.
Google has described its ethic with these pithy, great statements: "Don't be evil, do the right thing." I'd like to discuss these ideals in relation to reports at Google that we've been talking about with China.
Why you bring that up
The
now
strict
after they were saying that
authoritarianism
shit?
the Chinese government rules its people has caused concern around the globe for generations. I vividly remember the early days of June 1989 in Tiananmen Square. Now I read recent reports about crackdowns on Muslims, on Christians, on Falun Gong. Mass incarcerations and human rights abuses against people of faith in China should be a major concern for everyone around the world, including your company. Did Google design a prototype for a search engine that could be used in China to censor?
We don't have any plans.
Congressman, we have undertaken an internal effort.
Did you create a prototype? There was a report in The Intercept that says a prototype for the censored search
We don't have any
engine
plans
was
to-
designed.
For searching. China.
We've
Did they
developed and
wrong?
explored what search could look like if it were to be launched in a country like China. And that's what we explored. And
How many months was that project ongoing?
We've had the project underway for a while, and there have been other projects which we've undertaken for a while, and we've never launched them too. So it could be a constantly exploring.
How many people were working on it?
The estimates, the number of engineers on the project have varied over time. At one point, we've had over 100 people working on it. Is my understanding.
I just want to echo what my colleague, Ms. Jayapal, had said. Yeah, I'm glad you're here at the community, but I'm glad you're here in our country. You are a success story, and I can just think of you sitting as a teenager in India, thinking that this was probably never even on your radar. But you came to this country, you had that promise out there. And I want to thank you for being here today, and encourage you to continue collaborating with this committee. Thank you.
Gentleman's time has expired. The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Demick.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Pichai. I'm here.
Pichai.
Thank you so much for being here.
That is just the most fun name ever.
All that we have heard and seen today. As you know, Google certainly has significant influence over the dissemination of information to the American people. You have the ability to mold and shape how we think, decisions we make, what we buy. But let me just remind you and others that America, with all of its greatness, has enough problems. And we have to make sure that the gift of Google is used, the service that you provide is a responsible one. In your own statement, you said that the American people have the ability to use technology to improve their lives. So that tells me Google helps to solve problems, not create problems. My concern specifically centers around the protection of the consumers, because Google certainly would not be anything without the consumer. So the protection of the data, their information, the level of service that you provide. And I know we've talked a lot today about data collection and how it's used, and if the settings are in place, then it's not collected. So let me just
Really, Lane? It's right in front of you.
Chairman's questions, which I thought was a good opening for us. If a consumer tells you not to collect their data, then you do not collect the data. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And how does does Google allow advertisers to target ads based on sensitive factors like race, ethnicity, religious affiliation?
Currently, we don't have those, the ones you mentioned as factors in our advertising product.
Okay, and what is
Currently.
your policy regarding predatory advertisements?
We have strict policies against, and we respond to concerns there. We have undertaken significant changes to the extent we find predatory practices on our platform. So we are committed to doing better.
And since we do represent everybody, poor communities as well as affluent communities, how do you make sure that the information is received in at-risk communities protects consumers? It's of affluent versus poor communities. How do you make sure that they are?
We do engage with community organizations. We do, our teams do wide outreach, and to the extent there are specific concerns.
How do you make sure a poor person with some good shit to say gets a chance to say it?
Communities disparately, we do follow up and engage and take action.
And how do you do that again? Please.
There's a specific category of a product where we get clear feedback. The way we have implemented the product has a disparate effect on some minority communities. We do engage and we understand and make changes in our products or policies.
So you get feedback. So do you initiate or do any checking, or
does that information have to come back to you, or are you proactive in terms of looking for those type of vulnerabilities?
We do both, and but I do think there's more we can do in being proactive, and it's something I'm happy to follow up and understand better. But it's an area we are committed to doing well.
You talked quite a bit about working more with law enforcement. I believe you've said that maybe 4 or 5 times. I'd like to hear more about some of the things that you do with law enforcement to protect the consumers as well, and protect our electoral process and other things that we should care about.
We do this across a wide variety of areas. So, for example, when there were concerns expressed about motion interference, it's an area where we look to law enforcement for guidance. Areas like child safety is an area where we actively collaborate with law enforcement agencies. So, fraud, malware, and depending on the area we engage in, we support them through efforts they're trying to do. The opioid crisis is a good example of an area where we are
lame.
What do you think is the main area where Google could improve to better help the consumer?
He likes Mama being home for lunch.
Always
better protect the consumer.
I always think, privacy is an area where we think is sacrosanct, and we've done a lot for users over the years. But it's an area where expectations are constantly evolving, and we are, as a company, needing to evolve and adapt to it. And so it's an area we are committed to doing better. But I'd say I want to acknowledge that there's more to do, and that it's never done, and something we are committed to doing better.
Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gomer, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Jackson, appreciate your being here. And
I don't know. Are your headphones bothering you?
On both sides, we applaud great work. For example, Steven Spielberg, despite politics, he's provided my family a lot of enjoyment.
Do you need them to hear?
You and your colleagues at Google have created an extraordinary vehicle for searching out things. It's fantastic.
Is it worth the pain?
And as Mr. Lou, friend across the aisle, was pointing out,
don't bite my shoe.
Government
hard.
is not supposed to
That's my shoe. That's my shoe.
rights, and then you've got a company, a corporation
Shithead.
like Google. My problem is when the government gives its immunity from lawsuits over to a private corporation that's the head of that corporation doesn't even realize that there is political bias run amok in his company. And that's the problem. I don't want to see you overregulate. I don't want to see you regulated.
What the
I want to
fuck is
see
wrong with you
others
people?
Come up with brilliant ways, as you, Mr. Brim, and others did.
Rhetorical mumbo jumbo, bias. Rhetorical mumbo jumbo, Hillary Clinton. Rhetorical mumbo jumbo, liberal search results. Rhetorical mumbo jumbo, nothing to do with Russia.
Really has stirred up more.
Rhetorical mumbo jumbo.
Stirred up more hate than
Your
about any other group I know. They stirred
chick
up one
was
guy to the
wanting to
point
get out the
he went to
Latino
Family
vote.
Research Council, and I know those
More
people,
rhetorical mumbo
and they're
jumbo and
and they believe, and I believe, he is really more based on love than about any other religion in history. God so loved the world, he sent his son so loved the world, he gave his life, and yet they
Writing down
stirred
his
up
name.
hate against the Family Research Center, and a guy goes in shooting.
Gomer.
You have, well, let's see, June 18th of this year, Southern Poverty Law Center announced it had reached a settlement with Najib Nawaz and his organization Gilliam for falsely labeling them as anti-Muslim hate group. They were wrong. Now, you consider them a trusted flagger, yet they keep creating...
They're tools and so are you.
For people
A
that
tool.
are not haters. And in fact, they had to... They had to pay out $3.375 million. My problem is when you put your moniker on them.
I wonder if everyone involved will be getting participation awards when this is over.
First, everybody's got
Miss
their-
Q has won the internet.
Yes.
Points.
That's my problem. You trust people that have stirred up a lot of hate. And
Hate,
another
hate,
good example,
hate,
you know,
hate.
you're so surrounded by
We will now travel back through time to hate on
conservatism,
people.
hates people that really love our Constitution and the freedoms it's afforded people like you that you don't even recognize.
Oh, come on, really sell it, man.
Blind men not even
Go for the
knowing what
academy.
light looks like because you're surrounded by darkness. But if you look,
What the fuck is with that guy's glasses back there? Hold up.
a good example.
Hold up.
After President Trump won, you're
Where'd he go?
sad. Now, a lot of us seen the
He's
video.
hiding.
We saw
I'm hiding. Something's hiding.
people at Google were. And for you to come
Why
here
is the
and say
phone retarded?
there is no political
Stop being retarded.
Google tells us
The people must see the glasses.
or being dishonest. I don't want to think that. Or
Son of
you
a
don't
bitch.
have a clue how politically
Why?
Google is. Now, another example is Wikipedia. We do a search, and what comes
Seriously,
up
those glasses,
is,
yeah.
right there is the knowledge panel on the right, and we hopefully will have a screenshot of that. We get Wikipedia. My chief of staff went on, she told me, every night for 2
Oh, what a
weeks,
spectacle.
proper, honest information in with proper annotations, and Wikipedia's liberal editors around the world would knock it out every day and instead put up a bunch of garbage like Mark Levin.
Earlier, my daughter inherited her mother's brush.
They get a trusted spot, and when Wikipedia slanders or libels someone, and you're the one that has trusted them
Laney.
above any other entity, you ought to be liable. You ought to be liable when the SPLC is
What is all this shit
ought
you
to be
keep dragging
liable
out all over
when
the floor? We got what? Piece of flour, piece of toilet paper,
and uses their political
Easter egg,
bias.
basket
I hope and
string
encourage you
from God
to
knows
look
where
around
and when.
notice you run off conservatives, you embrace liberals, and it's time Google was actually not immune so that people can hold you accountable and get a little better objectivity. I see my time's run out. I give back.
Are you people fucking morons?
Yes.
I mean,
Whoa.
like, do they really not know?
I think
Or-
they just don't care.
So I don't need to call them and try to tell them. They know already. They just don't give a fuck. They're just trying to cover their own asses.
Even though I may be repeating some of this, but I'm still not clear.
Like sometimes I wonder, maybe they're just that fucking stupid.
That establishes the parameters by which
He never asks a question. Gomert,
Tell me about how many staff that is.
I don't think he knows how to fucking write a sentence.
It's our search team, which works on the core of our search teams, and it's
He memorizes speech like he memorizes like songs on Q93 or whatever.
but it's thousands of
That's close enough conceptually. And when you hire them,
All right.
are the people who are coming in from the outside?
Hold on a
or
second,
brought
y'all.
up from internally?
we don't examine their
Hold
personal
on.
there
Jeez.
are some people who do participate in conferences and meetings outside.
Just make a sandwich or something. Get some coffee.
And we're watching people whose social media has knocked them out of some pretty high positions in life. Almost every week there's one or more.
Hate,
whose
hate,
social
hate, hate,
media
hate, hate.
This week, a couple of them that I can think of just in the last 24 or 48 hours. But I'm going to make this point, and I believe I've made it with a number of the internet companies that have been sitting here at this table in the past. What we're in with situation here is that there's a very strong conviction on this side of the aisle that the algorithms are written with a bias against.
It's like the
conservatives.
player haters
People on the other side
temporal
don't agree with
alliance
that
or
because,
something.
of course, it benefits them. But what we don't know are who are these 1,000 people, and we don't know what their social media looks like. But we do know that the people that come from that county are about 80% supporters of Hillary Clinton, if I listen to the gentlelady from California correctly. And so that would be a built-in bias if I know people from California and know their politics from California, and I think I do. So we got
Where'd the fucking
at least
blanket
theoretically
go?
a built-in bias that's here.
The
It's not
blanket's
being
over there.
threatened, not exactly on social media. How would you expect that you could get to an objective result, which is that, you know, we build our products in a neutral way, but that doesn't mean that your product comes out neutral. So how would you expect to get to an unbiased result with a built-in formula that I've described that I don't think you object to or disagree with?
Congressman, it's an important question, but the way we rank our results is essentially based on
Okay.
and that's what drives the iterative loop.
Elbow didn't leave the couch. That counts for something.
So I do understand how it's prioritized that way, and I watch what's going on. But I made this
Thought that would be
point
entertaining.
if we don't know who the 1,000 are, and we can't look at their social media, and we can't see the algorithms to understand the results of the work they're doing behind closed doors, and yet the policy is that it's an open forum where there's a balanced exchange of open access for information. Of course, it's not. And so I have said we either need to know who they are and look at their social media, and if that doesn't solve this problem, next step then is publish the algorithms. If that doesn't happen, then the next step on the line is Section 230, the amendments to Section 230. And the step on the line beyond that is a Teddy Roosevelt step. Now, I'm looking at Mr. Gohmert. I don't want to regulate anything.
Roosevelt, 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 Roosevelt.
That the will of the American people can't be expressed in the ballot box. That looks like either
I
where
just
we
knocked a
are
bunch
or
of
the
stuff down.
direction we're going. I would just finish it with this. I have a 7-year-old granddaughter who picked up
Can you grab that for me?
before the election, and she's playing a little game, kind of game a kid would play, and up on there pops a picture of her grandfather. And I'm not going to say into the record what kind of language was used around that picture of her grandfather, but I'd ask you, how does that show up on a 7-year-old's iPhone who's playing a kid's game?
Congressman,
I'm not going to tell you what kind of language it was used, but it was tattooed on his scrotum.
It's just, it was a hand-me-down of some kind.
You know,
I'd ask,
I'm happy to follow up and understand the specifics. There may be an application which was being used which had a notification, but I'm happy to understand it better and clarify it for you.
okay, thank you for your testimony. And
Again, I asked the question. Like, I have to pause this one because that was just so fucking dumb.
What purpose is the gentleman from Texas seek recognition?
To place 3 questions on the record, Mr. Chairman.
So you don't
Already indicated we'll take all questions submitted in writing. Ask
somebody
And I'd appreciate it.
to happen to see their grandfather, who's obviously somebody famous.
gentlewoman without objection.
I mean, if your fucking grandfather's famous, you might fucking run across him on the internet in some good or bad way.
There have been several points made, and obviously
fucking
algorithm has
hurt my
been
brain.
mentioned over and over again. 3 questions. One, the explaining how algorithm may play into someone's impression that conservative is over liberal. I think
Obviously a
you're clear on that.
local politician or something. I don't know.
In addition,
I have no fucking idea who it is.
clarification on China and engaging in any activities to censor those individuals. And number 3, the algorithms, again, about your products may be proprietary, may be a priority over others, and any explanation as to how that is, in fact, if you represent it to be not true, or how that might be perceived if that happens. Your products, Google products over others, and how algorithms play a part into that.
And the gentlewoman will submit those in writing to us so we can submit them.
Thank you, and I thank the gentleman, and I thank you for yielding. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Rutherford, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Shine, thank you very much for your testimony
Shine.
today. I want to go back to the privacy policy and talk about some of those issues because I think it's very important for the American public. You mentioned the transparency.
Can you
in
tell
your
us something to
policy,
reassure us?
when, I know your policy is 20 pages long, changes multiple times a year. I have to ask a couple questions about the policy because I, quite frankly, don't understand all of it. And that is, the policy states that Google's data collection.
Are they just all rewriting the same email and using it as their speech? That's what it sounds.
My question is, does the policy apply when a consumer contacts a double-click cookie? Are they then under that policy or not?
Today our product there is called Google Ad Manager, and in general, when users interact with our services,
They get fucked in the ass. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't
we need their
trying to
consent,
interrupt.
and by law we need to apply our privacy policy so that we can offer them the full protections we can and fulfill our obligations. And so as part of that, I think if you're interacting with our ad services, we do get your consent for your privacy policy.
So that's written in the policy, and they have, okay. And then secondly, if a consumer does not have a Google account, they land on a web page that has Google AdWare in Chrome. We're collecting passive information. How do you address that, and how do you make that transparent for the consumer?
And we're back.
When we realize privacy policy alone is not enough. This is why we prompt and give privacy checkups.
Right. So let me stop you there and ask you then, because is it possible for Google to send me a printout of all the information that they have collected on me within the last month, and where I've been?
Oh, you're just boring the shit out of me.
Instead of me as a consumer,
I'm just gonna paint a little picture. Let's take a walk over to Imagination Land, where the government is borderline competent. Like me, I'm borderline competent, right?
And then allow me to decide how much of that information I would like to share
That's the.
As a consumer. Congressman, I agree with
That's what I
that
tell
sentiment,
myself
but what we precisely do is
to motivate
actually be very
myself,
transparent and we make it
to
very
give myself
easy
no
for
excuses.
you
I'm at least,
to
at the very least,
clearly
borderline
define the
competent.
categories. You can click and see the information we have. You can turn it on or off.
But if the government was borderline competent, like me,
even if I have the particular sites turned off.
that guy's just all up in the details of nothing. Nothing of what you're saying applies to third-party apps, first of all. Nothing. None of his questions, none of his answers matter at all. Just imagine, the freedom that Blackwater gave Bush. That's basically what a third-party app developer does for Google. They're not shooting with guns and shit. They don't just have access to data through Google, you understand? By being Google apps, they have access to the data directly because Google allows that kind of shit. But also, just like I said, and they recently admitted to it, that's why they're shutting down Google Plus, they also have allowed these third-party app developers and you can read this in the fucking recent news, to access user data on a pretty massive scale. I'm sure there was no pattern to what they sought after, or what they accessed, you know? I bet my fucking name was on it. Bet both my Google Plus accounts were on there. But if the government was borderline competent, you know what would happen? We might be acting as though our fucking nation was under attack. You see, one of the reasons why I think, Dingo, one of the reasons why I think you should stop licking your balls, Dingo, is because I'm trying to do a live stream. Okay. Anyways, one of the reasons why I think that this all needs to play out in such a way as to that people can entrap themselves, but however, while it's being handled properly on the Trump side of things, he's also become sort of a focal point and a distraction for what the greater danger is, the danger that lurks, the danger of another communistic wave happening before a final fascistic wave. Okay? I mean, remember, Antifa is there to pose for pictures on Fox News. Those people are brainwashed. You're not going to defeat people who were elected by Russia by rallying under a communist fucking Russian instigated banner. It just defies logic. If you look up what Antifa is, it's a Spanish communist revolutionary group. Yeah. They just pop up right after, right as Trump is getting inaugurated. And they've been posing for Fox News prep rallies ever since. I mean, pep rallies, excuse me. Anyways. So, on the Trump side, they're good. I don't know how they managed to let themselves get as bullshitted as they were. Just specifically on the Trump thing. Handling it the way that they were handling it was the best way that they could handle it. But the fact of the matter is, our nation was under attack. And we've never done forensic analysis on the weapons. The moment we realized that Facebook and YouTube and Google and all kinds of different internet platforms and search algorithms were being manipulated to psychologically affect Americans, okay, to psychologically damage Americans, and that's really being understated, and it's kind of pissing me off. But there's been some really sinister shit going on here, and the reason why we don't know it is because we didn't perform a basic forensic analysis on the weapons used to attack us. We didn't go and put on the servers and the Google algorithm and internal documents between foreign governments and these corporations. We didn't do any of that. I hope Adam Schiff does that. But frankly, the should have been a national security imperative, and it should have been done by the Obama administration before they left office. But they dropped the ball on a lot of things. And that all ties back to people not being allowed to have access to my message, to addition to the conversation, not being allowed to enter into it. Okay? If people would have been listening to me the whole fucking time, first of all, Google and Facebook wouldn't have been allowed to get away with so much shit, and Hillary Clinton would be president right now. But aside from that, we'd have a much more educated populace as to why some of our friends and family members aren't with us, how long we've been deluded to think we were involved of each other, how much of our division, how much of our ruined Thanksgivings and Christmases is the fault of foreign propaganda interfering with the very fabric of our belief structures. And it's not just Google and Facebook that are to blame for that, but they've been consistently antagonizing this pattern all too consistently, while suppressing just the right things to keep it from being to keep people from being liberated from it, to keep people from knowing any better. You know, it'd be one thing if they happen to support device stories, you know, but when the freak show doesn't follow the agenda, nobody gets to come see the freak show. And I think I put on a good enough freak show long to sit here and bitch about it. So, anyways, let's see if the boring guy with the yellow tie is off.
For the record, with that, this hearing is adjourned.
Oh, just in time. Well, fine. So what did she? What did that one lady say about Alex Jones being there earlier? Or were they just? They had a picture of him or something? What the? Trump clashes with Pelosi and Schumer in the Oval Office over border spending and immigration. All right. Right, that's what I... Conway, you got any idea? In the building? I'm looking at the comments now, sorry. I wonder if they asked him about Silverstein. Whether he knew about the relationship.
Because it just seems like all the right people are getting interviewed in all the right ways all of a sudden, doesn't it? You know, I don't know if Mueller got my emails, but I usually get Seed Invest and little Apple emails, like, constantly. And I haven't gotten any of those since I sent Mueller the email. The first email. Isn't that weird? I send him an email and now I don't get any more emails. Isn't that something? Now let me just see if I got this straight. Let me make sure. Tell me if I'm not thinking logically here. Yeah, my fucking... I just looked at it. I haven't gotten an email since last Thursday. Since last Thursday. No. Since last Monday. The last time I emailed him was Thursday. And I had sent one Monday. No, Tuesday. But the last email I got was Monday. And I would have expected to have one, you know, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. They're usually like every day or every other day. It's a new account, you know. I like to hold my ears and believe this is the only email account I have, and I don't have a Yahoo account that's like 20 years old with 2,000 unread messages in it right now. And by 2,000, I actually mean 20,000. And by unread, I mean not spam. I mean shit that I actually signed up for over the years. Since 1994, when I made that thing. Although I think it went inactive for a while. I don't think I recovered any of it. So all the emails that are on there are from 2007 until now. So it's 11 years worth of email. Yeah, when I finally recovered my account, it was empty. I went there recently. I went to Yahoo, I went to MSN, went to AIM. There's nothing there anymore. Anyways. So yeah, just think about what, like, our government response should have been if they were actually aware of the scale of this attack. I mean, sure, it would have taken them a long time to debate on whether or not it was appropriate to tell the American people about the greater philosophical implications of the chain reactions to these active measures that we've had. What Yuri Bezmenov means when he says it worked better than we ever could have anticipated. Okay. The fact of the matter is we've had a total breakdown in our society where we have these people who have been convinced that God doesn't exist by a lot of questionable facts and loose theories, have been set against straw man arguments propped up by these hypocrites who have been, well, led away from faith into some sort of bizarre death cultism. Basically, they're Satanists and they don't even know it. They call themselves Christians, and
They like to look at Jesus bleed, and I don't know. You know, like that not ever. I mean, I had like a nice little sterling fucking or whatever silver cross crucifix when I was a kid that some aunt or my mom or somebody fucking gave me. I don't know. But I thought I was all cool because I had a necklace and I was little, and I had a fucking like a chain, Yeah. But it like became like a part of me, and I became known to like a lot of very unchristian people as the Christian, and that became like a thing until I just decided like I didn't want it to be a thing, because when I look at that, I'm put at unease. Like I know it's expected to be seen as a symbol of faith, and I wear it because, I'm supposed to try to, so anybody notices me being nice to people, it's like, oh, look at me, a Christian did that, I don't know. Because I was a moron back then, basically. But one day I thought, like, if Jesus came back, and we were all just sitting around watching him bleed, like, we go... And this was before they really reformed the churches to not have the Jesus on the bloody cross so much, because this point has been made in a lot of different ways. Just does Jesus want to come back and see himself hanging up there? Is it necessarily good for... So yeah, between the blood and the half-naked man and the, just general offish nature of it, most churches nowadays have just like a plain wooden cross or some kind of image of a cross built into the building or something like that. It said reconnect. It should be better now. But back then it was like tacky Christmas decoration cross with like a fucking painted or, like bronzed or, crown of thorns and everything. And I started to like listen to the words that they were using. The way the gospel had like morphed into a series of phrases in order to be preached, as if they were only interested in gaining the faith of idiots or something. I don't know, like it. Highly interpreted, let's just say, at best. Like, when someone comes up to me and says, I cleanse you in the blood of Jesus, I'm like, first of all, I hope you have some iodide, because that's going to leave a stain. And second of all, did you clear this with Jesus? Because, he might need his blood. Just saying. And second of all, my back hurts. I don't need a transfusion. Or third of all. Fourth of all, fuck it. The third one's a mystery. Dingo, stop licking your balls. I know they must be delicious or something, but still, please, just try to refrain. I wonder if my balls are delicious. Never mind. Never mind. Sorry.
You know me, I see I actually have a few fucking viewers for a change, and I start to get in comedy mode. I'm too tired for that. I should just quit while I'm ahead. There, now I'm ahead. That was horrible. Anyways. Oh, I got Miss Q with that one. Oh, I love people who like the cheesy shit. As you know, I got loads of that around the back. Which is why I always have to like change how I sit. Never mind. I think I got a little between my toes right now. But seriously, how did we find out these companies were taking money from Russians for political shit, and we're just like, hey, do you know why you were taking money from them? Would you mind coming and talk to us about it? Seriously? That's what we did? We didn't have like a coordinated strike with fucking Interpol and just agents all over the globe at every fucking Google and Facebook and every social media platform that was used by the Russians, and make copies of everything so we actually had evidence of what the fuck happened to us? You know, not assuming the worst, just actually being borderline competent. God forbid. Can anybody argue that that's what we should have done? Oh, I mean, I'm aware that people are that ignorant of everything that was done, so you're not aware of the possibilities. But because you're not aware of the possibilities, shouldn't you want to be aware of the possibilities? And therefore, you should want the fucking copies of the servers. And the personnel computers, for that matter. Employee activity as it related to account management, censorship, and what was the thing we took a shot for? Right? Isn't that what we should have fucking done? Like, that's what I was screaming for at the time. But you know, we all know how much fucking better the world would be if people would actually listen to me. Which is why God has given me some patents. Delicious patents. They're like the pate of patents. I don't even like pate, never mind. They're like the Patsy Cline of patents. Only not dead, but never mind. They're like the Patrick Swayze of... Is he dead too? Shit. I love Patsy Cline too. And who? They're like the Patrick Stewart of patents. Boldly going where no man has gone before. Oh, that ended much better than I thought it was going to. I thought I was just gonna like wind up just What was I talking about? Yeah. But somebody happened to have a patent-like name that was conducive to inventiveness. I think I've beaten this fucking horse to death, so I'm gonna move on. But I'm kind of just blabbing my fucking lips because now I want to think about my patents. Anyways. Oh yeah, I gotta remind my wife about the fucking Indiana. I need a nap. Pretzels. Pony. Potato. Who are you? Where am I?
Sometimes I feel I have to hack my lungs. So, how are you? So it's either our government is just like literally fucking helpless because of all the sequesters, which, you know, granted, I was afraid of for a long fucking time. Or we'd have them fucking servers. Or this is the plan. The shadow investigation theory. The idea that this had to play out for the investigations to be completed. Those are your three options. Either our government was completely incompetent, too incompetent to simply go to these corporations and demand copies of their servers with fucking armed agents if necessary. I mean, the nation was attacked. The nation was under attack for quite some time by an enemy who was invading Europe. You know, who killed one of our presidents, for fuck's sake. And our intelligence services had plenty of information about Putin and Islamic State and Iraq's Baathists, and had already gotten the connection between the Taliban and Russia. So when it came to Russia interfering in the election after all these different things, you would think that they would go get copies of some fucking servers from whence our democracy was hacked. They're right there in our country. They could just go, just make copies. Or even if they need to go to them to make copies, you would think they would have the copies if they wanted to, right? Oh, I'm not underestimating us that bad. In fact, Obama built a brand new fucking supercomputer just for this purpose when it all comes down to it, which is why I'm going to go with theory 3 as the most likely, which has been my theory this whole time, even though people like Lee Harvey Hitler have said that I'm wrong. Shadow investigation. Been going on since before Trump even announced his candidacy. They knew he was going to announce his candidacy before he did. No, not the Russians, the FBI. Oh, I hope that just put a lump in somebody's throat. I told you, don't underestimate me. Because if I wanted to, little dearie, I could go back in time and make it true. Just like that. You want to see me do it again? You should know by now that Sean doesn't speak very quickly. Now, what's debatable in that is whether or not speaking in third person made me sound more or less crazy. But seriously, I've sent manipulations of reality backwards in time just to make TV shows or video games, and these things are proven. I did these things in real time on the channel. Google should know, because Google would know if I ever searched for them before having said them on the channel. Oh, what a long list, too. Let's see, the Great Wall movie, Pete's Dragon, Once Upon a Time, Merlin in a Tree. Which tree? That tree. Now you might be thinking, well, maybe right when he just made his YouTube channel, when hardly anybody could find him, and he was talking about flat earth and shit, the writers from ABC's Once Upon a Time series came and said, we'll base our shit off of what this crazy fucker says. No, see, the idea that I actually used magic to do that is much more plausible. Suck it. Now, when they come out with a new A-Team movie or series, that's just personal indulgence. That's just to impress an old friend that probably still won't give a shit anyways. Which is fine by me. But anyways, funny how the number 2 cell phone manufacturer is having issues, and the number 3 manufacturer is also having issues. And the people who make the operating system for the number 1 manufacturer was just in front of Congress getting grilled. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody with a very loyal Western agenda that had the highest respect for all cultures, but didn't like it when any of them overran the others, managed to come up with a whole new different approach to building cell phones that would be more economically sustainable and environmentally sustainable, while diversifying the market and facilitating diversity in the market. Also allowing people to have a better choice in equipment. But best of all, I think, to be able to upgrade and repair your own fucking cell phone and not have to keep throwing it away and buying a new one every year, year and a half, 2 years. How many cell phones have you been through in the past 15 years? Could you make a small house out of them? I think I could at least make a house for like a Pomeranian. So I can't give away the different, I think I counted 13 different patents total, 9 to do with that technology platform. I'm just going to call it the technology platform because it is permutated into a medical technology platform and a military technology application. And whew, I've been busy. But I just, went around all the different spectrums I could think of. Where is shit needed that this could solve a lot of problems, and I designed systems to best suit those needs. Also, basically fixing the whole introductory market problems associated with a revolutionary type of technology. That is, you apply it to multiple aspects of consumption and lower the cost of the common parts involved. And that's what this is centered around, is lowering the cost of common parts, reusing things, and, like I said, if something breaks, you just replace it. You keep most of the shit that was there, depending on what breaks. But there are some things that I can't even begin to talk about involving how this thing basically transforms into other shit. It's a borderline transformer, I suppose. But it's just, it's $100 billion worth of shit waiting to happen. Just in that one little part of my sketchbook. It's the one I'm most excited about because it's the one I personally want the most, And again, I'd just be happy with a fucking phone with a keyboard on it. But then I realized if I'm going to make a phone with a keyboard on it, I'm going to make a phone I can put whatever the fuck I want on it, whenever the fuck I want. So I designed a whole new type of motherboard for a phone. Yeah. And that's as much detail as I'm going to give. Multi-bus. Anyways, seeing the evolution of technology over the years is basically the way I've managed to concoct that without an engineering degree or any equivalent knowledge. I know just enough about what it takes to make shit work, to leave enough room for everything. And that's exactly what I know how to do, is conduit mapping, literally, like leaving enough room on the circuit board for everything to fucking connect and ground and communicate and switch. It's just nice that we won't have to fit any manual jumpers. You realize that those old D battery phones, if you crack them open, there's like 3F, 2E, there's like a fucking jumper set in those things. It's fucking awesome. I want one so bad. I want one of those old phones. What I really want is like a mid-90s or early 90s BMW 7 Series or Mercedes SL class, with the phone still in it. Oh, I want one of those. Anyway, I'm getting tired of holding that phone, speaking of phones, so. We'll just talk with a little hand puppet from now on. Hi guys, how are you doing? Yeah, fuck this. Okay. Wasn't I supposed to go to sleep? Are we done talking about shit? You got any questions, comments? Anything you want to add? Or subtract? Or multiply, divide? Find the square of the hypotenuse of the opposite side of? Anybody want to let out a silent fart for posterity? Equate. You mean like the generic aspirin? Alright. Reviewing the comments. Differentiate. Suddenly I'm thinking of a 70s song. Or is it perhaps Tiffany? So whichever one is y'all the next to come visit, you get a free nano tank. Because I got a free nano tank just sitting there. And by free, I mean like, it's free. It's a free roaming nano tank. It's in the fucking way. It's a free range nano tank, you know, it's organically fed and it gets let outside to roam around in the grass twice a day. No, it's fucking, I don't know what to do with it. I shut it down. It's got a good light, fucking halfway decent filter. I could make the filter better when you came here. I don't want to bother to swap out the tube on it with the one that isn't cracked until then, but I won't send you home with the duct taped filter tube. But it's a perfectly good little fucking nano tank. Just needs to be cleaned out and restarted. It's 2.5 gallons. And they're cool. I got one in my bedroom. Got a little $11 light off of fucking eBay. Runs like a little champ. Just that one. The other ones I've gotten were total shite. Or they range between total shite and eventually disappointing. But those little fucking clear foot-long ones, the little tiny ones, they're just too simple to break, you know? I mean, you practically see all the circuitry. And fed by Sherpas. Yep. It's a free-range nanotank. It was once a slave. Taken off of an island in Greece where it was abandoned. And then I think it became Emperor of Rome for a while. And then it went to prison, but now it's free. It's a free fish tank. You know, speaking of going back in time just to change things for the fuck of it, I think I'm going to go back in time to when I was locked in prison just to make myself mumble, or mumber, whichever the two. I'm sure I'll figure it out when I get there. To make myself mumble. I wish I was hand-fed by Sherpas. I said mumble. Yeah. It would just be the best thing to grumble out while starving to death in prison. Just a vision of the future, making jokes about being hand-fed by Sherpas. I'm just like, I wish I was being hand-fed by Sherpas. And then some guy would start whistling. When life gets you down, Mrs. Brown. Oh. And always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life. For life is quite absurd, and death's the final word. You must always face the curtain with a bow. When you're feeling in the dumps, don't be silly chumps. Enjoy it, it's your last chance anyhow. And always look on the bright side of death. Just before you draw your terminal breath. Life's a piece of shit when you look at it. Life's a laugh and death's a joke, it's true. When you're running out of time, and death's the bottom line. Remember that the laugh is on you? No. I think I've mixed up my verses, but that's not surprising. But I'll make it up by randomly singing some off-the-wall, lesser-heard-of shit. Or something, I don't know, never mind. Oliver Cromwell, Lord Protector of England, and his... Okay. Blisters on the foreskin, Remind me of your smile. I haven't itched your insides for quite a little while. I'm dying of your love, my love. But it's all set as it seems. Well, my scrotum's painted orange, and my balls are turning green. Yeah. I'm delirious. I really need sleep. Like, I got like a headache, and my eyes are halfway shut already. And it's like they're poofing pretty bad. I'm really tired. But isn't it awfully nice to have a penis? Isn't it awfully good to have a dog? It's swell to have a stiffy, it's divine to own a dick. From the tiniest little tagger to the world's biggest prick. So 3 cheers for your Willie or John Thomas. Hooray for your one-eyed trouser snake. Your piece of pork, your wife's best friend, your Percy, or your cock. You can wrap it up in ribbons. You can stick it in a sock. But don't take it out in public or they'll throw you in the dock and you won't come back. Thank you very much. Oh. See, this isn't fair. You have me at a disadvantage. My sister and I used to stay up way past our bedtime until we got this delirious. Not, doing drugs or anything. Drugs was just normal. Like, just actually tired, just delirious. And act out Rocky Horror Picture Show or Monty Python or Grease or just something fucking silly. So once I get going, it's hard for me to stop. I should not have said the word Grease. Because now I'm getting the urge to Travolta. which is a verb I just made up just now. Excuse me, I must Travolta. Where's my jacket? Comb. Jacket. To Travolta. Synonyms: to fawns. Tell me about it, stud. Hey. Boom, 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 boom. I got chills in my spine, and I'm losing control. I'm trying to sing it quietly so you can't hear it. For the power. Okay, that was horrible. I did not successfully Travolta. Oh, and Phantom of the Opera. Oh, I can't forget Phantom of the Opera. Oh, all right. If anybody wants to hear me try to sing Phantom of the Opera, say so now, or I will definitely talk myself out of it. But I'm having the urge. I don't know if it's going to be any good because I'm way too tired, but Lacey says, do it, do it. All right, where should I start from? After the solo. Little Artie, let her mind wander. Little Artie thought, am I fonder of shoes? Or of chocolates? Know what I want is what Lottie said. As I lay aside, sleep in my bed. The angel of music sings songs in my head. The angel of music sings songs in my head. Insolent boy, this flame of passion, basking in your glory. Ignorant fool, this brave young suitor, sharing in my triumph. Angel, I said, stay on my side, guide me. Angel, my soul was weak, forgive me. Come to me, strange angel. Flattering child, you shall know me. See why in shadow I hide. Look at your face in the mirror. I am there inside. Blah, 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 blah. I am your angel, come to me, angel of music. Who is that voice? Who is that in there? I am your angel of music, come to me, angel of music. Christine, angel, bang, 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 bam, bam. Do, 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 do. In sleep he sang to me, in dreams he came, that voice which calls to me and speaks my name. And though I dream again, for now I find the phantom of the opera is there inside your mind. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Sing once again with me a strange duet. My power over you grows stronger yet. And though you turn from me to glance behind, the okay, I lost it. I'm trying a little more gentle. The phantom of the opera is there inside your mind. See, I told you I was too tired. Too tired. Go down a half a step. Those who have seen your face draw back in fear. I am the mask you wear. It's me they hear. Your spirit and my voice in one combined. The phantom of the opera is there. Just raspy inside your mind. Sing my angel of music. You understand? I was homeless. I got this whole shit in my head. I have you, seed of sweet music's throat, to this kingdom where all must pay homage to music. Music. You have come here. I was supposed to do it a half a step down. For wakes and stirs imagination. Silently the senses abandon their defenses. Slowly, gently, night unfurls its splendor. Grasp it, sense it, tremulous and turn your thoughts away from cold light and listen to the music of the night. Close your eyes, answer to your darkest dreams. Purge all thoughts of the life you knew before. Let your mind and your spirit start to soar. Should I even try it? I'm going to try it. Just be warned. I am going to try that. Ow. And you lived as you've never lived before. Floating, falling, sweet intoxication. Hear it, feel it, savor each sensation. Let the dream begin. Let your darker side give in to the power of the music that I write. The power of the music of the night. Close your eyes, start a journey to a strange new world. Purge your thoughts of the world you knew before. Let your mind take you where you long to be. Only then. Let me just see. Let your mind take you where you long to be. Only then can you belong to me. I think I'm lost on the lyrics anyways, fuck it. And then the mask scene. Damn you, you little vile Delilah. You little viper, now you cannot ever be free. Curse you, you little guiling Delilah. You little demon, is this what you wanted to see? Damn you. Curse you. Stranger than you'd dreamt it, can you even bear to look or dare to think of me, this repulsive gargoyle burns in hell but secretly yearns for heaven, secretly, but Christine. Fear can turn to love, you learn to see, to find the man behind the monster, this repulsive carcass who seems a beast but secretly dreams of beauty, secretly. Oh, come, we must return. Those two fools who run my theater will be missing you. Those who speak of what they know find out too late that silence is wise. So if you care what your song, He will burn you with the heat of his eye. Mystery of Sopranos flight. We are mystified at the garland tight. Mystified, we suspect I'll play. We are mystified, they all will say. Bad news on soprano seat. First Carlotta, now Christine. Still, at least the seats get sold. Gossip's worth its weight in gold. What a way to run a business. Spare me these unending trials. Half your cast disappears, but the crowd still cheers. Opera. To hell this all this Randall, it's a scandal that'll pack 'em in the aisles. Damnable, will they all work out? This is damnable. Andre, please don't shout. It's publicity, and the take is vast. It's publicity, but we have no cast. But Andre, have you seen the queue? Oh, it seems you've got one too. Dear Andre, what a charming garland. Christine enjoyed a great success. We were hardly bereft when Carlotta left. PTO. The chorus was entrancing, but the dancing was a laughable mess. Dear friend, by just a brief reminder, my salary has not been paid. Sit at care of the post, my return. Care of the ghost, my return of post. PTO. No one likes a debtor, so it's better that my orders are obeyed. Who would have the gall to send this? Someone with a pure-eye brain. Care of ghosts, I know Jew. Who the hell is he? Opera ghost. It's really not amusing. He's abusing opposition. In addition, he wants money. He's a funny for sort of spectre to expect a large retainer, nothing plainer. Shit. It's really not amusing. He's abusing opposition. In addition, he wants money. He's a funny sort of spectre to expect a large retainer, nothing plainer. Where is he? Oh, welcome back. Okay, I'm done. I'm fucking done. Jeez. I'm surprised I got that far. I'm done. Wow. They knew all that shit was up in there, so it was just cobwebs and Phantom of the Opera, apparently. Those who can go with on one. It's like a little butterfly. Oh wait, no, hold on. Random thing that the cat dragged in. As soon as I get the dog hair off of it. Give me the butterfly back. All right, hold on. Hold on. There we go. Now it's a little butterfly. Oh, fuck, never mind. Anyways. Is this not something that a parent would do to amuse its child? I can always make fart noises. It's the go-to for my kids. I don't know about other parents, but it's just the go-to for my parents, my kids. Whatever they are. Parents, kids, one of the two. They tell me when I'm supposed to take a nap. Yeah. Oh, hey, Emily. Look at that. I can't give details, but if you want in, plan a trip soon. Down one. Let's see. What are my recent creations? There's that one. And then there's that one. All the modular flood proofs. But the bigger the initial investment, the better. So whoever comes here gets a fucking nano tank. I don't know. If it happens to be y'all for your second visit, you can still have the nano tank. Boy. Holy fuck, I really do need to go to sleep though. That big one is a 4-bedroom, 5-bath. Or is it 5? Yeah. No, 4-bedroom, 5-bath. And like a study and a gym and 4-car garage. It's a lake house. Like it's designed to be a slow-moving barge if dislodged. Certainly not like that yacht house I showed y'all. That thing would just be a fucking boat if you wanted it to. But this is designed to be basically the most luxurious home at the cheapest building price possible. Yeah, pretty sure possible. Smurfette is just swimming all gimpy, like, I don't know, I can't tell if she's trying to be territorial and just doesn't have enough fins left to do it. Let me bring this over here while I'm on the subject. So that the back of her top of her dorsal fin, right there, nipped. Her tail's nipped. Her pectorals are nipped. And where's Petey? Petey's a little chicken shit when I come over here. There he is. Petey, Petey, Petey. He's still not even as big as her. The Flame Angel has gotten quite big. And no, that wasn't Petey chasing the Flame Angel. Petey just flinched, and the Flame Angel also flinched. Anyways. Oh, camera's full. Check my overflow. Flame Angel got pretty big though. Doing pretty good. I hate being like this, but you know, like all saltwater people are. Like my last Flame Angel had more blue on its tail fins there. Like fucking stupid fucking Brookanella outbreak, and Orihime fucking bit the dust just from transfer shock, man. Like her her equilibrium was already just getting fucked up from the stress. And then she just never really recovered from that. She was never able to relax and recuperate. But she had that brilliant fucking blue on the end of the dorsal and anal and her tail. And that's what really gives the flame angel its name too, you know, because if you look at a flame up close, it's got that little bit of blue at the bottom. Candle flame. Not like napalm, you know. If you look at napalm, it's got little bitty body parts at the bottom. Anyways. Smurfette is like swimming all around, like trying to fan Mai, and Mai is literally just hovering in place, just on. The fuck are you even doing? I think Mai's finally stopped growing. That is a huge fucking clownfish, isn't that? There's her mate. There's a Ocellaris da Vinci. And there's Mai. That's a 8-inch pot. Not a fiber. I use fibers and 8s. That's the big one. Oh, remember how I was talking about how the fucking Duncan never got any other polyps? Well, Duncan now has 2 more polyps. Which you can't really, well, you kind of can see. It's got 2 polyps on the north side there. Let's see, can we top down? Where are we at? Three. Oh, cool. Cool. Just why? Why is there a chunk of that just settled right there? Whatever. And some fucking blue mushrooms. Oh, what? What? Jeez. Oh, you think I'm gonna feed you? Oh, okay, okay. No, no. Huge colony of what? I got a few huge colonies. When I get the store opened up, longtime subscribers will be welcome to come get free coral when they visit. And I'll have, certainly the most plentiful things I have are Kenya trees, Tonga trees, and Hollywood stunners. Once I start reproducing rose bubbles again, that's going to be my bread and butter as far as coral goes, and I consider anemones to be kind of a coral. It's like a coral fucked a jellyfish, basically. I don't know which one wore the pants in the relationship, but, you know, somehow. But, Prestige Reef just made a video about how easy it is, and I've been saying for years now, ever since I made the Easy Reefers channel, and even before that, how easy it was to fucking have a saltwater tank. When I changed the name of this to, what was it? What was the name of this channel again? Something to do with it, reefing being easy. Anybody remember what I changed the channel name to? It's like a thing that people should do with their YouTube channels and the reef hobby, if they actually want to spread the reef hobby in such a way that will be a benefit to environmental awareness, since nobody's going to comment. Easy Reefers. Yeah. And I did want to get around to the time of year where I had enough free time to commit to making those top 10 videos and shit like that. And then right before I got to that point in the school year, YouTube fucking demonetized me. Made that lovely. But the store and everything I do regarding the hobby is going to be geared towards getting more people into it by showing people how far you can go, how much fun you can have, how long you can keep an easy, simple fucking tank. And the easiest, simplest tank is clownfish and caulerpa. Namely, true perculas. I mean, Mai's a wonderful fish and all, but Acellurus just aren't as hardy as a true percula. Maroons are not as hardy as true perculas. They are, by comparison, nitrate sensitive. A true percula is like the honey badger of clownfish. It don't give a fuck, okay? Fucking an Acellurus, if you go from 0.21 salinity to 0.25 salinity within a half an hour, nice slow acclimation, seems like it. If that Acellurus has the slightest medical or genetic abnormality, it will be dead within hours. If it's relatively healthy, it'll probably still die within a day or so, because its bladder will have ruptured. A true percula, I'm not telling you to do this because it stresses the fish out, and I'm sure there's got to be some risk of it dying. A true percula can go from brackish to reef water and back again damn near instantly. They just have an adaptive bladder fat, which is the same for, I would think, and this is just conjecture, but I would think any tide pool living species that lived on reef tides primarily, not like shore tides, reef tides off in the sea on atolls, because that's where they get their tremendous salt tolerance and ability to go from like crazy salinity back to normal salinity. And then, vice versa. As you can imagine, they're hopping around on the reef trying to find a good tide pool, right? And literally, that's what they do. They jump. Perculus jump. That's the bad thing about Perculus. You gotta have a lid on the tank. But they will look up around themselves like any annoying fish that you've had that will sit there and like, no, you're in a container, motherfucker. Don't jump. Don't, like, and it's sitting there looking and you know it's gonna fucking jump. I hate that. But true Perculus, until they get comfortable with you and where they're at, they may jump. In fact, I've had a few jump. Zoom jumped. Zoom jumped behind the fucking tank. I could barely reach him. That was a video. Got him all. He was all covered in hair and shit. Put him back in the tank. He was like sitting there twitching, like hair, cat hair, dog hair, whatever kind of hair. Hooker pubes, you know. But anyways, so like on an atoll, right? Low tide sometimes happen when it rains. If a percula is going to jump into a smaller tide pool right after a rain, it's going to have a really low salinity. Then it jumps into a bigger tide pool, that's going to have a higher salinity. Then it might just jump right back into the ocean, full salinity. Take it easy, Conway. But that in nature is what I think makes them so incredibly easy to move around. I've just gotten quicker and quicker with acclimation on true perculas. I gotta like slow down and be extra careful anytime I acclimate anything else. I just like take it like a fucking intensive care patient. Oh, it's not a true percula. Everything fucking every you know, full extreme fucking precautionary measures required. We have something that isn't a true percula getting moved or, you know, coming in. True percula, fucking from a nano tank in the kid's bedroom to this tank down there, from that tank down there to up there. Just put in a scoop, hang it up there, and swish, swish, and release. The only thing I really am careful about is temperature. If the temperature's way different, then I'll give it a while to adjust. 10 minutes. Anyways. What I'd really like to do is have a nice little section for growing clownfish, nice little section for experimental alternate breeding projects, several that I've already thoroughly researched that I can't wait to get my hands on, and then I want to buy a little baby, you know, sailfish, not like sailfish, like fish on sail, like Petey. I could have him growing a lot quicker if I wanted to. Get little baby fish, quarantine them, grow them out in the store, get them nice and tame and personable, and then sell them. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. Now they got like people who do just that. Huh. Anyways. Yeah, like Petey and the little clownfish get along. Petey and the flame angel get along. It's just Smurfette. because Smurfette's a bitch. And Petey don't take that shit. So Smurfette, sit all fucking in the other corner, all bitten up and shit, twitching around until she heals, and then she's gonna go and be a bitch some more and get bitten up some more. Apparently, it's just the cycle until Petey gets big enough to eat her. Circle of life. I tried to catch her. And by tried to catch her, I mean, I gave her an opportunity to be caught. I'm not chasing a blue devil fuck damsel in a 55 gallon. Hell no. A 10 gallon? You're talking like 30 minutes minimal. Okay? A 10 gallon. 55 gallon? Just shoot it with a shotgun and just, pick her up off the floor, flopping around. Be much easier. And go buy a new 55 gallon. Set it up. Easy Reefers does not actually condone shooting fish tanks. That was just a joke. But I'm guessing that if anybody has ever actually shot a saltwater fish tank, it was probably because they were trying to catch a fucking blue devil damsel. Yes. YouTube cares. And don't forget, we're keeping it classy all the way to Christmas. Boy. Oh, like this eye feels like it's bulging out of my head right now. I think it is bulging out of my head right now. I got a headache. I need to go to sleep. What the fuck am I doing? Is there anything I'm supposed to be talking about still? I don't know. Is the world saved yet? Fucking somebody put me back in my tree. Yay. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching, y'all. Click the like button. Thanks for chatting, hanging out. And thanks for being you.